In my lifetime as a teacher, I've seen some of the worst teachers come in because their heart is not in the place. Their heart is on that Thanksgiving break. Their
Yeah.
heart is on them four free paychecks. And I like to call
Yeah.
them the four free paychecks because during the summers you just woke up and that money hit your account.
Yeah.
You feeling good. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, it's bigger than that. You're gonna make some phone calls. You're gonna stay after
Mhm.
school. You're gonna be a life counselor, it's a lot that goes into it. And for the teachers that have friends with or been friends with in various schools, those are the ones that I know are the real ones that really care about this work.
Yeah. And it's something that's so important because I know for me, I remember all my special teachers that like really made an impression on me or
Yeah.
that something that they said or did was pivotal to me becoming who I am today. And I make sure for especially those that are still alive, I make sure to make sure that they know that they're important and what they've done to kind of pivot me in the direction that I came into. So I just think at the end of the day, for those of y'all out there, if you're in education and you don't want to be, it's okay.
You're
But
right.
but let's put our foot on the gas because if you're gonna do it, no matter what you're doing, do it 110% because
Yeah,
it's
there's
so important.
no such things as halfway crooks. We
Mm-hmm.
either, we either robbing this bank or we not. You can't you can't make
Correct.
you can't make no halftime adjustments and say, well, I really don't want to. Plus, there's a crime that's being committed to our kids across the country. And it happens inside of urban schools a lot of times with underfunding, not having the proper tools to educate our kids.
Mhm.
There's a different experience that a kid in the inner city gets from a kid in the suburbs. And someone has strategically decided to rob our kids. So if that's the case, then I don't need a accomplice. I need a co-conspirator. Because if you're a
Mm.
co-conspirator, you got a little bit more weight in the game. I don't need
Yeah.
you to drive the getaway car. I need you to go in the bank, and we're
Yeah.
gonna get we're gonna get back what was taken from us. Because if we're
Mm.
not careful, we're gonna see this really bad pattern of kids stepping right in line, and that the prisoner pipeline system is real.
Yeah.
Man, it's a real thing. In fact, I'll preview this, and this is kind of scary, but I've started this research, and I don't know where it's going to end up in a book or just an educational journal called the
Mhm.
Three Sixes Rule. And I don't even want to say
Right.
them together, but it's just the
Yeah.
Three Sixes Rule. And this is what I've learned. I unfortunately have buried a student every year that I've taught, either
Mm.
former or current. And I started to realize what is the pattern in this. And I noticed that 6 years or less after the student has graduated high school, a student has either or died or been arrested 6 miles away from the school.
Mm.
It's really weird because we gave you our best. In the words of Anita Baker, we gave you the best that we had. The best we
Yeah.
and and this happens. And it's why is it these numbers that show up? And for me, it's letting me know that there's so much work that still needs to be done.
Yeah.
6 years after you graduate or less is either in 6 years you'll be dead by the school or arrested 6 miles away from the school. And
That's
the
so
place
sad.
in the place that you got this love and should have gotten this plan, why did it end up here? And
Yeah.
it's something we got to fix.
Do you see a lot of similarities between Detroit, New Orleans, and DC since you spent time in all three
Listen,
locations?
all around the world, the same song.
Yeah.
The words
Yeah.
of Digital
Yeah.
Underground, right?
Right.
Whether you call it one thing over here or another thing over there, it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
and it's sad because it's the patterns of underfunding, wrong people in the wrong places as far as teachers and administration, and we wind up having the same equation.
Mm.
And that equation is either success or fail. And the fail is so harsh, right?
Yeah.
So harsh. that's where we got to do better. We got to do better inside of education about really taking the time to help kids find a plan after high school and being brave enough and get out of this arrogance that
Hmm.
college is the only answer.
Yeah.
I once worked at a school community where I had a CEO sit up there and say, well, we're a college prep school and we don't recognize kids going into the military. Why not? The military is a viable answer for some students.
It is.
My uncle, may he rest, was a Navy man. You know, I have many military, and he says going to the Navy was one of the best things that ever happened to him. I have fraternity brothers who went into the armed forces and said that really was one of the best things for them when they were trying to figure things out, and it helped them pay for school. We
Yeah.
have this such a poor narrative of the ignorant dumb soldier that we don't realize that we can really provide these kids with an opportunity to travel the world and reset themselves financially and go to school for free.
Yeah. For free, GI Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, the GI Bill, or if it's not that, or going and get a trade. Well, you know,
Mhm.
ain't no kid that comes from this school community gonna be a plumber. And why not? People need plumbers. If that young man, young lady says, I don't want to go to college. I want to do this. Listen, they're not on the street. They're not hitting nobody over the head. They're trying to be, you know, productive member of their community, provide for their family. What are we doing out here? We got to
Yeah.
stop that. It's a lot of unnecessary arrogance that we pour into these things, thinking that we know so much, and it's like, nah, calm down.
Yeah. Yeah. Relax. Relax.
Man,
Well,
relax.
I will say this: if they do choose to go to a college,
Right.
I'ma just say I'm so happy that you are team HBCU.
Oh,
You will
absolutely.
see it,
Come
but
on, Southern. Here's a Southern University. You know. You know, as I like to always say whenever introducing to myself, I'm like, greetings from the oldest HBCU in the great state of Louisiana. We
let's
are
go.
Dillard University, 1869. Nothing is finer. The home of PBS Pinchback, the first black governor in the United States. You may love Kamala, but there's no Kamala without PBS Pinchback. Go Blue Devils. Anyway,
Let's go. Let's go, Dillard.
let's go, Dillard. Hey, I almost want to go put my Dillard sweatshirt on. No, I'm not going to do that.
That's okay because you
But
rep it.
I got my Dillard J's. Don't trip. They have my Dillard
And I see
Air
it. Oh,
Maxes.
I'm
Don't
coming for
trip.
those next. I'm coming for those next. But no, back to Dillard. Tell me a little bit about your funnest times being on the yard.
Woo. Let's see. Let's make sure your show don't get canceled. So
Because
anyway, but
it's New
it's New
Orleans.
Orleans. So I went to New Orleans from Detroit. And though people thought it would be a culture shock, I say this all the time, that Detroit is nothing but Jackson, Mississippi North, right?
Yeah.
It's, you know, the great thing about going to school in New Orleans was that I went there to major in theater arts and speech communications.
Hmm.
Dillard really came and got me. I thought that I was going to go to NYU. I've been accepted at NYU. I've been accepted to a lot of other universities. And, you know, one of my really amazing teachers, Miss McCormick, she said, you know, you need to look at Dillard University. You know, without the internet, I was like, huh? And sure enough, start looking at the brochures. I interviewed for Dillard. I auditioned for Dillard, and I became the first theater scholarship recipient at Dillard University through the S. Edmonds Randolph Scholarship.
Yes, Black History.
Yeah, it's one of, and myself and a couple of my classmates will forever be cemented in Dillard history because we were the first to ever receive that award. And then when I
Yes.
started researching more on it, that was the home of Garrett Morgan, who of course was the first black cast member of Saturday Night Live. I said, "Oh, I'm home."
Yeah.
Dillard provided me so many amazing opportunities. One that always represents one of my the best time I had was that for one summer. I got shipped off to Chicago. I got shipped off Chicago and worked at the Second City. And for people that don't know, the
Oh,
Second City, of course, is the home of where a lot of performers and writers for Saturday Night Live come from. And I was
yeah.
able to perform on that famed stage. I met George Wendt, met Wayne Brady, and you know, it really opened up so many doors for me. I was able to use those doors to transition to interning at Comedy Central, to
Ooh.
doing a bunch of really great things. So I say all this to say is that oftentimes people want to talk down on the HBCU experience. Oh,
Mhm.
it's not as good as this. No, that you're sadly mistaken. The HBCU experience to this day is still bar none. And I always say everybody want to be from HBCU, especially during homecoming time.
Right.
Well, I'm an HBCU supporter. I appreciate your support, but once again, I do, and I want to be careful here because I do appreciate people that support HBCUs that went to PWIs.
Yes,
But
always.
we not turning down nobody's money. We ain't turning down nobody's support.
Right.
But there's a special type of language that I can talk with you, and you can talk with me, even though we never were on the same yard at the same time. That's
Correct.
that's the fraternity sorority of the HBCUs. Like you can talk bad about Dillard, and I can talk bad about Southern, but don't you be outside talking about it. You came from the outside, so don't you say nothing about either one of us.
Right.
Who you to talk about Southern? Better keep that to yourself. You
Yep.
ain't go you ain't go over the hill. Calm down now.
Correct, correct, correct.
Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia, Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia, 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 don't you wanna see? 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 Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia, world of Kia. Don't you wanna see? 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 Welcome to the world of Kia. We get to see everybody in my world.